Now, hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of WeekCap with Clay D and Mr. Greer Webb. How you doing this week, Mr. Greer?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. It's been a little minute. It's been a busy few weeks, as it always is, but I'm glad to see you and glad to be back on this show.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, this has been a quick time jump here because I know we haven't really done technically in 2 weeks, but it feels like it's been a lot sooner than that because this whole week it just went by in like 2.5 seconds. I mean, literally since the last time we texted on Saturday, it feels like, or Sunday, it feels like literally yesterday with Father's Day and Juneteenth. I don't even think we
I
really
know.
had a
I know.
real,
I mean, yeah, so much. I mean, Juneteenth and might be going to war soon and all this stuff that we're going to get into today. It's been a crazy week.
yeah, for sure. Well, let's get right on to that, to man. What do you think of this whole Iran war thing? Because that literally, I mean, it just sprung up on us. Like, I don't even know if I have an analysis, but I'm just gonna have a pure gut reaction.
Okay, yes. I mean, gut reactions are good, especially to such monumental events like this. I mean, as you know, and as some of the folks watching might know or might remember, I actually had the opportunity a few years back to go and visit Israel and Palestine, and understand. I still obviously don't fully understand it, but understand more about that conflict. And so I was in the Middle East not long ago, actually, not long before October 7th. And so to just understand that the whole conflict or the multiple conflicts that currently exist in the Middle East go back so far. They are so cultural and there's a religious aspect and they're so deep seated. To me, that doesn't mean that they can never be solved or that we can't make progress on them. But we have these little wars. Of course, we have proxy wars, but we have these serious conflicts every so often. And so, part of my confusion, Clay, as someone as you know who likes to go to the facts, is this idea that Israel has been saying for years and years that Iran or Iran is very close to having a nuclear weapon. And so they're saying that again now, and they said that that's why they made the decision to really start this current conflict. That's undisputed. And so Iran certainly responded. It seems like they're getting low on their missiles and on their weapons. And everybody's talking about this one nuclear site in Iran called Fordow, which is where they have been allegedly building. Well, they have been enriching uranium there, but that's where allegedly they would launch a nuclear strike from. And so now the main question that I keep hearing is should the U.S. get involved and help destroy this bunker, basically, from which Iran would launch their nuclear missile or weapon, if they even have one. And so I just think it's quite interesting that now Trump is saying he's going to think about it, and then in 2 weeks, within 2 weeks, he'll make a decision that America is being pulled into this. When the main three powers or countries that have a nuclear weapon are the United States, right? And Russia. And I don't know if Israel has nuclear weapons or not, but I just think it's quite interesting that now there's a question of should America get involved? And I think it speaks to our, the greater question of our relationship with Israel, which a lot of people call a little America in that region. So those are some of my thoughts. I, of course, as always, am concerned about the loss of life and concerned about the loss of innocent life. What are these folks really fighting over? I think goes back to my question of just how deep-seated this is. It goes to land, to culture, and to religion. But this question of should America get involved? Um, Not to sound isolationist, but I definitely don't think we should, and I definitely don't think we should send too many of our soldiers into harm's way, because this is quite literally not our fight.
Yeah, man, you're absolutely correct on that. It really is not our fight. And for this president, you just never know what side of the bed he's gonna wake up on. I don't know if you saw those memes that says, uh, so are we going to rent or not? Or should I pay rent? I mean, should I not? Like, I don't know if you've seen those, like and even the ones
Yes,
where
I have. I have.
folks are joking about, hey, North Carolina has nothing to do with this, or Atlanta has nothing to do with this, or just don't loop us into the rest of the country. So Yeah,
Right. I
I had
saw
no
some of
clue.
those memes. You know, people are crazy. I think one of them said, "Don't mess with North Carolina or Georgia, but y'all might want to look into Texas."
That's funny. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. It's always unpredictable with this administration and all of that. But let's
I
talk.
mean, what do you make though of this idea that we need to get involved because Israel is such an ally of ours and they have the right to defend themselves? I mean, what do you make of this idea that we should be supporting Israel? I mean, nobody's out there saying we should be supporting Iran, but I just don't know why we would want to go and pick a fight with a country that already doesn't like us and doesn't like Westernization.
Yeah, I mean, look, the problem is we just don't have the the president with the right fitness in charge. So if we had Kamala Harris, let's just say, I will have a much better supportive answer. But when we have this guy in charge, there really isn't a safe answer. That's just the reality of that. So in normal times, quote unquote, or under a more normal president, I could probably give a much better answer. I'd probably say we should support our allies, but again, with who we have at the top, that as commander in chief, I just really just don't know. I can't even give a straight answer one way or another on that because I just don't trust him. That's just that, you know. And I know he's been all about isolationism, but
Yeah,
he's a interest man, so there's always that too to consider. Hmm. Can you hear me okay?
self-interested just for a second and then we'll jump topics. So what about yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good, good, good.
Yeah, I got you. I was going to say about this whole idea of being self-interested. What do you make of Trump's tweet or Truth Social post about Juneteenth and the fact that people, should have been working or whatever he said, and then his press secretary basically said like this is not a big deal to us, and if people want to take it off, it is a federal holiday. I mean, on the campaign trail, I'm pretty sure Trump was advocating for Juneteenth to be a federal holiday because he wanted the black vote, and now he's talking about people don't work enough. I mean, what do you make of this nonsense?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Trump 2.0 has just been on some next level ish. That's just a nice way of saying that. So I hate to say it, but I prefer Trump 1.0. Let's be
Really?
this
You
one.
think it was more predictable or what?
Um, yeah, I would say that. I would say that. I think this time around, he's just gonna do whatever he feels like at a moment's notice. So if I had to pick the poison, yeah, the poison is Trump. The 2017 and 2021 Trump. I'll go with that one over this one. That's just for sure.
Hmm.
I think at least with that one, you could at least negotiate. I don't even want to use the word protest, but I would say negotiate. This one, no. But as it relates to Juneteenth, it's our look. People already feel a way about Juneteenth anyway. So, but this whole idea about us being productive, I mean, this man is on a golf course. Any moment he gets, wearing that white golf tee, that polo, which makes it look really good.
Right.
Um, Fact of the matter is that I know I'm not gonna be listen, I'm not gonna be too analytical today. I'm gonna be more gut reaction today. So I might not sound like
Go
a
for
I might not sound like an academic journal today. So I literally might just sound like a
it.
bunch of a curation of social media memes and comments today. So that's just where I'm at. Especially after a stressful morning. But yes, but I need some comic relief just to kind of spice things up. But the reality is
I
this.
feel that.
We this country, we're so overworked, so underpaid. We working like slaves. So shoot, I mean, if it was a true Juneteenth, let me be honest, we all would not be working. That's just the,
Right.
that's just the truth behind it.
Right.
If you still had to work, then I mean, that is out of true liberation, in my opinion. Now, I agree, everybody can't be off, but I'm just saying, like, there, it's just a sign that even if somebody wanted to take off for symbolic or personal reasons, and we don't, the average worker, especially blue collar worker, I'm just going to use that term, doesn't necessarily have holiday pay or the benefits or even just enough, just enough to even be able to afford a day off. So let's just go with
Right.
that. So
Right.
you throw that in there, or him saying that we need to get rid of some holidays. I'm just paraphrasing. That's ridiculous. We rank low as a country on how many actual not working holidays that we actually have, and as far as with our quality of life and our work-life balance in comparison to other countries. So, the way this administration has been, we're slowly working towards an oligarchic way where we're wage slaves and we're debt slaves, especially with the economy and the cost of living and everything. The whole irony was that this man ran on Biden inflation. But the reality is this: inflation was going up all over the world, but you're doing things that aren't alleviating the problem. You're exacerbating the problem. But we already knew that. Well, let's just be real. So
Right.
we're,
Right.
this
You
is this
speaking facts now. You starting to sound a little bit like an academic because you're speaking facts. I would just say, yeah, I mean, with the tariff war and all of what he's doing, like you said, it goes back to this idea of him being self-interested and not really caring about the American people. Not to mention the racist component here, because he tweeted that or put it on Truth Social on Juneteenth. He didn't say anything on Columbus Day. I bet he would be mad if we took away President's Day, if we stopped celebrating the military's birthday, which also was his birthday this year, which was, we're going to get into because there was nobody there and such a waste of taxpayer dollars. So this dude is just, like you said, nuts, but he's running the government. Not only is he running the government, and I guess the Supreme Court has kind of found its balance a little bit recently, but he also has all three branches in the palm of his hand, or at least in his favor. And so when it comes to immigration and some of these other policies, I think it's very clear that Trump is self-interested, that he has racist tendencies. He doesn't care about everyone in this country like the leader should. And I saw, to your point, I'll wrap on this point by saying that yesterday I saw a video of Kamala Harris speaking for Juneteenth, and she sounded so presidential and she looked so relaxed and so in control of her words and in control of the issues. And earlier this week, Bill Clinton gave an interview saying that we really should have had Kamala Harris, and the fact that, Joe Biden even decided to run again or was telling people he was going to run again really took away from how powerful Kamala Harris's campaign could have been. And so all of these pieces, have just not added up to help Americans. It seems to just uh, we seem to be in this environment in which the rich are getting richer, the racists are allowed to just be racist, and we have to just sit here and deal with it, like you said, as the little plebeians that we are. And so when it comes to taking up power and protesting, and we can talk about that in a second as well, as you and I have always said, we have to do more than that. And that doesn't mean we have to overextend ourselves, but we need to be more strategic. Like protest is great, but if you're not having anything after that, then you're really wasting your energy.
and that's
So we'll get into that, but you have a response?
yeah, that's been my chief complaint. I mean, I saw all the No Kings protests over the weekend. You already know what my opinion is going to be on that. I don't even have to say much. First of all, how many of y'all voted, and who did you vote for? But if you voted a
Mm,
certain way,
mm,
but you acting like you now shocked, then please. I remember. Look, I'm not. I've been on some 92% energy lately. Well, one, I'm just tired. I mean, that's just the first thing. I ain't necessarily. I don't have energy all the time, especially these days as I get a little older. And I'm burned out too. That's another thing. As we were talking earlier, this this
mm,
burnout. We're burnt out. We're burnt out from working a lot and working a lot for less pay, and we put all this effort into organizing the last cycle. Well, not all of us, but I'm just saying a good portion of us use a lot of energy and resources, and we got nothing out of it, really. Maybe we have Trump back in, Kamala Harris.
mm.
Yeah, I know. I saw on
Right.
Nick Podland, Angela Rye was saying your piece is selfish. She's right and wrong. Normally, I would be right there with her, but dang, it's just hard to work for little or for crumbs all the time. At some point, it's going to be hard to put more gas
Right.
back in the tank. I mean, I'm saying this because you're in school now, but even if I was back in school, if you get that bad grade, you probably never had a bad grade. That's just a credit to you. But I'm just saying, I'm just saying.
I have. I have.
You get a bad grade, you got a professor who's just on you, on you, on you, and you the working, you study, you still get bad grade. It's really hard to pull yourself back up and try to get the A the next time. So that's how I
Right.
feel. That's just how I feel just overall. So I get those who want to rest, and even some of us are being called lazy. I won't say lazy. I would say unmotivated and uninspired. This and I'll be straightforward too. A lot of these white progressive spaces aren't doing too much either. They're still back on the same ish that they've been on. Um,
Right.
your definition of insanity is trying the same things, except expecting the same outcome. I look at who's running a lot of these organizing spaces. Even when it comes down to staff, you're still not hiring folks who look like us in key positions.
Right.
I don't want to keep seeing us being organizers. This is why, and let's be real, there's a lot of black progressives or people who look and vote like us who repeating the same mistakes too. Um, boy, I said I wasn't gonna do too much today, but now yeah, I might say too much now. That usually what happens. But even folks locally elected here in North Carolina and in your state of Georgia, because I got ears on the ground, including yours. So just on that alone, I don't necessarily, I can see why a lot of us are coming off lazy, but it ain't laziness. I can guarantee you that. It's unmotivated, uninspired. I say all that to say, I mean, you look at the New Jersey primary. Faraz Baraka, who I wanted to see win, did not win the primary. Somebody else did, Democrat. Um, you had people dropping off of the Democratic Party. I've never been one who's been in favor of dropping off from major parties in this country, the way our systems are set up. I can get why people are dropping off or leaving the Democratic Party, like our former White House press secretary. Kate,
Hmm.
um, it's really it's not looking too just good. And the folks who can make a difference, I think we're acting just like those who we claim we want to be different from. We claim we don't want to
Mm.
be like Trump, but yeah, I see a lot of people in elected office who have a D next to the name, locally, municipally, tribally, congressionally, gubernatorially, state legislatorly, who are acting in self-interest. A lot of people in progressive spaces are acting in self-interest. But I don't want to keep seeing folks who look like us be used as political sharecroppers and organizers on the ground when we should be in consulting spaces. So, uh, you know, I'll leave y'all with that for on this one.
Mm. That's good right there. That's the soundbite. No, I agree with you. I mean, woo, political sharecroppers doing all the work, not getting any of the credit, not getting the pay. And then we're the first ones that are scapegoated, right, when things don't go right. Like, oh, look at black men, right? Or black women could have done a little more. No, it's these white folks every time that be letting, because we have each other, but letting the country down and letting down the movements of progress, right? Of progressivism. Your point, um, I do want to see us more in consulting spaces. I want us to be more innovative. I want us to be more, not just content creators, but actually have a communities. And it can be fun, right? Time and time again on the show, like politics can be fun, but it's not. And so we got to win first. I want to talk to you also, and we'll get to sports at the end per usual. But I wanted to talk to you also a little bit more about that because I don't think we have talked about Corinne Jean-Pierre changing her registration or affiliation. And then I saw an article yesterday on BRL that some of the more outsider parties are going to be taken off the ballot because they've not been super or ballot, excuse me, they have not been super active. So like the No Labels Party, the Constitution Party, and two others are going to be taken off the North Carolina ballot. They're not going to be recognized parties. So that will leave Republicans, Democrats, and then in North Carolina unaffiliated. Then I think Green Party will get to stay. So what do you make? I mean, you alluded to what do you make of people who are dropping off or switching parties, and what do you think about the future of our, two-party system in this country?
Well, I mean, look, the way our country is set up, we can never really afford to really diverge away from major political parties. I don't think that's good, and that's just by design. But hey, if you're going to start somewhere, I guess my position now is you might as well just keep on with it. Folks always said we don't want to change things. Let's wait till after this election. But if you keep saying this every 2 years, then when are you going to do it? When is there going to be the right time?
Right.
There is no right time. You just have to create the time now. One of my criticisms always was that we always wanted to talk about election reform, especially during the Obama years. And the talks were always, well, not right now. We'll fight this fight later. Well, or even when any Trump election. Well, let's just have Trump not elected first, then we'll revisit this topic. And look what we get. At some point, reforming electoral college,
Right.
changing our election finance, all that, and our two-party systems have to be dealt with at some point because let's just be real. Trump transformed the Republican Party as we know it, for better, for worse, and clearly the way we see things for the worse. But the Republican Party was first hijacked by the Tea Party, then was hijacked by alt-right, then hijacked by MAGA. We've yet to really truly do that in the Democratic Party. I mean, we just keep on looking at AOCs or Jasmine Crockett's or Rashida Tlaib's. I don't see much of her these days, but that's interesting. That's another story. But anyway,
Mm-mm.
or Representative Umar. So, I mean, we have these figures, and then we get a Wes Moore who I'm starting to get a little annoyed with now. And I'm not okay.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that,
Okay.
unfortunately.
I thought it was just me, so I had to be careful what I say, how I craft it. Well, I guess, but I guess my position is that look, he's running for president. And he's saying, no, I ain't running for president. Bro, you clearly run for president. Why else am I going to see you on every platform, every outlet, acting like you're running? I know a politician is the lie. I get that. I get that. But just, I don't know. I guess this day and age, in this world we live in now, I would just rather be more upfront about I just want to know what your intentions are. I guess maybe that's really the thing. Even if it's not president, but I would like to do some. I know you're with the DGA, you have a high ranking with the Democratic government, so okay. I just feel like there's more self-interest involved with that, and I have that way about feel that way about other local officials locally here in North Carolina. I see you everywhere. What's your what's your vision, bro? I don't know.
Right,
Just
right.
don't insult
No,
our
that's
intelligence.
real.
Don't insult our intelligence. But yeah, I'm starting to get a little annoyed by seeing Wes Moore everywhere, just all of a sudden as of late. That's just me. It's rubbing me the wrong way, and I don't know if I'm coming from a good place where at, but maybe if I heard other people's thoughts and perspectives, it ain't got nothing to do with the reparations. So let's just ignore that. But
You
if
know who I'm starting to like? This is a little aside, but
Go
I
ahead.
really like is the mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott. I mean, he kind of
Okay,
flies under the radar, but he's pretty about it, at least
okay,
compared to Wes Moore.
okay. I'll go with that. No, I can roll with that. I can roll with that. But
I just thought he handled that Baltimore Bridge thing really well, even though
yeah,
Wes Moore tried to sweep in and take some of that. But yeah, I like him. I mean, we need some younger folks who have a little bit
what's
more of
your
a
opinion
radical
on
vision.
what is your opinion on Wes Moore? It could be there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, just if you feel the way you
I
feel
haven't
it.
looked super into him. I do think that, I don't know, he pushes that military thing pretty hard, which is great. But he needs more than that to really be palatable across the country. I definitely think he's running for something greater. I don't know if it's going to be president. I don't think the Democratic Party is going to let him run for president this next cycle. To your point, because I think they're a little short-sighted and they're probably on this whole, well, can't be a black person train because a black person just lost, which is
Yeah.
a little problematic to me. But anyway, I think I don't know. He just doesn't really have it. People think he's attractive and all of that, but when it comes to strategy and when it comes to bridging the divides in this country and when it comes to understanding all of the different parts of the country, again, I don't know his background. I don't know if he's from the South or if he's always been in the North. Then I think he has a financial background, kind of a.
It's a unique.
I think he worked
Hmm.
at Robin Hood. So I'm like, that's great. But there's just seems to be something missing, and I really can't put my finger on it.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna do a deeper dive on his Wikipedia page or something. I don't know. There's definitely more there that's just not necessarily clicking. Maybe we'll find it, maybe we won't. But I'll tell you, you know what? I'm not even gonna run off AOC, and I've always been kind of up and down with AOC, but at least if AOC I know I'm gonna get, and this is the problem with the Democratic Party. You want to now run a moderate message, and again, I don't think that is the way to go. I really am kind of getting tired of centrism politics. Um, because I think it's just to appease voters. It's to really attract a voter that's pretty much dying off now. That middle of the road, middle America white voter. That's basically what Bill Clinton was at the start. I mean,
Hmm.
I am a fan of President Clinton, but I mean, what's the reality is that he was to offset the Reagan Bush years, and the Democrats were doing
Right.
poorly in the Reagan Bush era. So yeah, it worked then, but I don't necessarily want that in 2028.
Right.
I just don't. I mean, I just believe you have to live and die by a sword. If you want progressivism, and I'm not even too progressive, but we just can't be running this country economically and all as is. It's just crazy. It's just crazy, bro. I mean, like for real, for real. We have to have
Hmm.
some wealth building in this country for people who look like us. We just can't keep on letting this cost of living go unchecked. We just can't let this is too many things just going unchecked. So I just don't know with centrism. Well, he's a little less racist, so that's good enough. I mean that we just can't do a lesser of two evils. And I know some people
Right.
are beyond that. I'd rather have somebody who I could protest than not. Good, but hey, at the end of the day, you guys stand for something or fall for anything.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. And I think we see a lot of this. That's part of the issue that I had with Corinne Jean-Pierre because it seemed like she was just kind of there to do her job, but that just feeds into the narrative of there was some sort of cover up or the staff had a totally different vision than Biden. And she's like, yeah, now I'm an independent, kind of both parties have it wrong. I'm like, well, what do you stand for? Because I'm not obviously a Democrat and clearly I'm not a Republican, but I have a vision and I haven't been flip-flopping around and I can communicate what I want to see from any politician. But for her to say, "Oh yeah, love Joe Biden, but the Democratic Party ain't it, and I'll never be a Republican," well, that's just like not helpful to me to now have a whole book and a whole story to tell about how you're an independent. No, tell me where you stand on issues. Tell me where you want both parties to be more progressive. Tell me what you want to see over the next 5, 10 years instead of just doing this weird like take this because I'm telling you and I was the press secretary. Like that, this is not a forward-thinking vision. This is not going to be helpful. And to your point, it's very hard for me not to see that as her just wanting to sell books. Because why do I want to read about somebody who's changing parties, right? Like just taking that on face value, that's not something super interesting. The fact that her book may be more interesting than others of the same type is because she was the press secretary, and because she has a national image, right? Being a member of the LGBTQ plus community and being a strong advocate for justice. And she was on MSNBC, I believe. So, what are you standing for, to your point, and can you communicate to others? Can you communicate to communities how we are supposed to help you reach this shared vision? And it's just, I feel like everybody is just, to your point, kind of living their lives. It's hard to make money. It's hard to find and keep a job, and so people are just out here. This is a country. Like, we should be helping each other. We should be pushing one another to be better. We should not be getting bogged down with labels, but we should be able to communicate how we're feeling and thinking. And if anybody, if we have any power or influence, we should be using that for good. And so it irks me when I see people who are like, oh, yeah, I did that for a while, but now I kind of think differently now. And here's a book. I'm like, well, what? Like,
Yes.
do you actually think differently? Do you actually have any ideas or plans or goals, or are you just trying to make some money and just kind of drift quietly into the good night, as the saying goes? I don't get it.
Yeah, anytime there's a book deal involved, I'm always just skeptical of that. It's like with Jake Tapper. I mean, let's just be honest about that. I mean, press secretaries, they're interesting people. I mean, they always have been. Even even Trump's press secretary, Caroline Levitt, now that she's a interesting mouthpiece. I think
Hmm.
I think they're just really good at doing their jobs. I don't necessarily know if they're political blowhards. I'm just going to use that term. I think they're not necessarily in a political space. They're more in a governmental space. So therefore, they operate a little less differently than you or I would, or anybody in these advocacy or advocate or political spaces would, where you're constantly in campaign mode.
Hmm.
But she's she's always been interesting to me. Corinne Jean Pierre. I've never really quite felt real sincerity from her, but then again, are you supposed to get that from a press secretary? I don't know. I mean, their job is to echo the message from the president themselves. So there's that. But I always felt there was something a little up with her to begin with. So I mean, look, she did good work, but you know, I mean, I'm not gonna take. And I do feel like there's more because she was there that she knows that she's giving off if it's not already the book. But
Hmm.
at this point now, we have to worry about who's in the White House, not who was in the White House. Mhm.
Exactly.
Yep.
And the person who's in the White House now is very problematic and gives us more than enough to talk about.
Oh yeah, exactly. Whew.
Let's wrap up here,
Sports, yeah.
unless you have something else with some sports talk and some culture talk. So the
Yeah.
NBA Finals, which is top of mind for a lot of us, is going to a game seven, which I
Mhm.
think is always great. What do you think? The Pacers blew the Thunder out last night to force a game seven, and so that game seven will be happening soon. What do you think?
I'm glad there's a game seven for a series that has been as boring, at least on paper, or at least the marketability or from a fan perspective goes. So I think a game seven will draw a lot, probably not that much, but I think on a weekend, a game seven, a competitive game seven is very good. But let's just be real, man. These finals been boring.
Hmm.
It's probably been good basketball, just operationally speaking. Like if you just from a hoops perspective, it's probably been great basketball, which I've seen some of it, but whenever you start reverting to highlight reels or social media posts to find out who won a game, that's not a good sign. I'm just going to be honest.
Right. Right. Right.
If you have to Google what times the game is on, that's never a good thing. And these every 3 days between the games haven't really helped either. I think it's good for a game seven. That way you can
Hmm.
get rest in. But just throughout the whole series, man, they don't need. I mean, because during the whole playoff run, it was every 2 nights. But during the finals,
Right.
every three. That's just honestly, it should not be going into. Well, we're now the first day of summer. It will be like the third day. I mean, almost in July. That's just.
Right.
I'll put it this way: the Lakers made more headlines because the Bus family sold than the teams that are actually in the finals. I mean, when it's not even the lead topic of a sports like Sports Center, and I'm not watching Sports Center a lot, but just for what I am gathering, it's not even the lead topic. Normally, the NBA Finals is the number one talk. This would never happen in the NFL. The NFL will hijack
Right.
all your airspace, like. And people and Adam Silver was saying like, well, this was small market problems are the problem of the NFL. The NFL is a different beast operation in general. It just is. You can never beat the
Right.
NFL. It's a different product. It's a different game, similar with four quarters and all that, offense even, but it is just a different beast. And let's just be real. NFL caters to more white people, especially middle of the road.
Right.
See, this is why the media rights deal is uh is very interesting, which is why when you getting NBC back and having Michael Jordan be on now, and then again Amazon and everything like that. Because I'll be honest, ever since the NBA left the NBC, and I know this is kind of before your time because it happened in '02 with such, but I remember when that happened, the game changed. And great, that's when LeBron came in, but ever since the NBA went to ABC, ESPN, and LeBron came in, it became very LeBron centric and central. And that did
Hmm.
the league a huge disservice. And then changing from David Stern to Adam Silver, you would never saw this in the 90s. In the 90s, you would have you have white folks in Nebraska rooting for the Bulls and Michael Jordan. Back then. I'm just being honest. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's middle of the road white. I mean, that's just who we care to, even talking in politics. Like, that's whose vote we're getting, that's whose money eyeballs we're getting. They will love the NBA. And even to this day, we talk to old head, they'll talk about that. They talk about the NBA now. NBA has become, and I'm sounding very hypocritical here, a coastal liberal type of establishment. And that's very hypocritical coming from our mouths. But that's just the
Hmm.
reality of if you're just talking purely from a marketing advertising standpoint, that it's geared towards the larger cities, the bigger names, and the league made a big mistake by just letting it live and die by LeBron. It just did. And now you're facing a every year you're hoping this man don't retire. And I think he's kind of playing because he knows the league will be without I think if the league was in
Right. Well, I was
now,
gonna say just to
yeah.
hop in, I was gonna say, and I don't think that's necessarily LeBron's fault. Like if
I
I were
don't
him,
think
I
it's
would be trying
fine.
to market and cater.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's his fault. I know you're not saying that, but I'm saying some people get out here and be like, yeah, look, the whole league is centered around LeBron, or LeBron is doing this with his son, or he has enough money, he should retire. I would be doing exactly what he's doing and saying, oh, am I going to stay? Am I going to go? When he knows deep down before he, says something publicly, whether he's going to stay another season or not. Like he's that dude. And, right, he's doing things in his community. He's putting his money toward, generally good things. And so I agree with you. And then just in the time we have left, to your point, Sports Center not even talking about the NBA Finals. But and this they're talking about the WNBA and the way that these girls or these make, and it's not just black on white or black on black, it's white on white, and white women in the NBA going after Caitlin Clark and vice versa. I mean, I saw that clip from earlier this week and I was stunned. I was not expecting that on many levels. I mean, what do you make of WNBA now being talked about, maybe more so than the NBA, but they're talking about it for negative reasons, for
Yeah.
fighting and bad officiating.
Yeah. I mean, it's not this is not a good year for the WNBA, and it's definitely not good when you have media rights in play. It's just bad. It's bad business, bro. It just is. Again, this is what happens
Hmm.
instead of things on
Hmm.
one star. Now, about the 90s, I'm gonna be very quick in how I explain this. In the 80s, you had Michael Jordan, but you also had a Patrick Ewing, you had a Charles Barkley, you had a Sean Kemp. You had multiple stars. They made Caitlin Clark the face, which I think that was used for other reasons and agendas. But they villainized Angel Reese. Angel Reese is younger than you, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, how do you expect people who have
Yeah, she is.
young brains to act? I mean, I'm just being straight up.
Right.
Look, I mean, these people
You're
are
right.
kids are going to be kids. They're still kids. Heck, I mean, even Tom Brady was partying until he got older and had kids. I mean, every young, even LeBron James was out there and about going to clubs. So young people are going to be young until they ain't, no matter how mature they are. So yeah.
Right.
But hey, man,
Right.
this is a
No, hey, you came with those facts.
yeah.
We went from memes to facts. So that's great. That's a great place to see you. Looking forward to getting this episode out there and hearing from all of you all. So I hope everybody has a great Juneteenth weekend and stays safe out here.
All right, you too, man. Stay cool, drink, stay hydrated, and stay woke, not broke.
Yes, sir.
All right. You
I
have a
love
good
it.
one.
Woke, not broke. Take
Yeah.
care.
All right. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Peace.